I've earned over $200,000 in income in a single year by personally selling complex AEC projects. Now, the reason I was able to close this much income wasn't because I had some fancy Rolodex of contacts or because I'm some charismatic salesperson who can charm anyone into signing a contract. The reality is the market paid me over $200K because I followed a repeatable system, a system that any technical professional in AEC can use to go from struggling to hit quota consistently to closing high-value projects. So in this video, I'm going to show you everything that I did to close multi-million-dollar projects in AEC sales. When I first started in business development, I had this limiting belief. I was coming from engineering, moving over to business development, and I had no idea what I was doing. So limiting belief I had was I was actually afraid to call my boss to actually ask him what I needed to be doing day in and day out. My fear was that if I called him, after selling myself that I can do the job, that if I called him, he'd be like, well, why are you asking me so many questions? I can't give you every every detail you need to actually do your job. That's what I hired you for. I hired you to figure it out. And so coming from the engineering side, where you're given a building and you basically have to figure out how to build it, but you know all the clear milestones, right? You're going from 0% CDs to 100% CDs and all the calcs you have to run and all the plans you have to create to get to that point. But when it came to business development, I had no clue. So it's tough for me to really start and figure out what I need day to day. The silver lining was that I was able to create this methodology simply by going out into the market and figuring out what I needed to do and kind of piecing everything together. Because the painful reality was that when I first started, I had this huge product dump on me. They were just like, here's our product, go figure out, here's what you need to know about it, go figure out and go and try and sell it, right? Here's the target market we go after, but just go and figure it out. And that was tough, right? One of the biggest challenges I also had was I lived in a 400 square foot apartment in New York City. So my bedroom, my living room, and my office were all in the same space. So I would send an email and then sit down for 20 minutes because my body was confused. I didn't know if I should be chilling. I didn't know if I should be working. I didn't know if I should be sleeping. So I went out and I found a little place to work, in a cafe of a little gym. But then 8 months later, COVID happened and it shut down the world, right? So two things happened. I had to, number one, learn really how to work from home and stay motivated, stay consistent, and be efficient. The biggest thing was because COVID happened, it shut down the world. Think about an AEC where everybody always screams it's all about relationships. Where do you go build these relationships? You go build them at conferences. You go build them, in offices. I literally couldn't go anywhere because you couldn't touch anyone. And mind you, this is New York City where if you touched anyone, you would blow up. So it was a huge challenge for me to learn how to actually operate within this new world that we were living in. I couldn't even go to offices. I couldn't cold call into the gatekeepers because there were no gatekeepers. So I had to find a whole new system, a whole new way to actually operate within this new world.
The first thing I had to do was refrain from what it meant to be in sales. In AEC, you're not selling, you're solving million-dollar problems. I shifted from I'm a salesperson to I'm a problem solver with technical expertise who delivers measurable business outcomes. And that became my edge. Having the ability to move between technical problem solving and business impact is your superpower. You have the ability to build trust with your technical knowledge and then close the deal with clearly communicating the value of your solution. The next limiting belief I had to break was the idea that people buy from friends. Here's what I learned. People buy from trusted advisors who solve expensive problems. That lesson was cemented when I learned about the Coca-Cola experiment from 1971. A researcher had participants work alongside his intentionally rude and disagreeable assistant, and during the break, the assistant would either bring the participant a Coca-Cola worth 25 cents or just do nothing. Later, this same rude assistant asked participants to buy raffle tickets for 25 cents each. Here's what shocked the researcher. Even the salespeople who found the assistant rude and unlikable bought more than twice as many raffle tickets if they had received the Coke. The takeaway from this experiment is that it wasn't about being likable, it was about delivering clear, tangible value that people could measure and justify. But understanding that value matters more than relationships was only half the battle. I still had to figure out how to actually communicate that value in a way decision makers cared about. That's where the 4 levels of impact came in. Most BDs fail because they don't know how to articulate the value they provide in terms of business outcomes. They know how to create solutions to tough problems, but not communicate the value those solutions will create. So here are the 4 levels. First is your product impact. This is the work itself, what you do and what you bring. Second is process impact. This is how you deliver. Instead of just selling your product or service, you show how it improves workflows. The third is business impact. This ties your process to money and measurable results. Here's the key to understand. decision makers buy outcomes. Fourth is your strategic impact. And at the highest level, you connect your solution to the client's long-term strategic goals, such as repeat business, market positioning, or increased market share. Real quick, if you're getting value from this, make sure to like this video so you can easily find it again later. And if you want the full breakdown of how to implement this in your BD role, click the first link in the description to book a strategy session with me. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about a solution framework that will help you win more work. I call it the RSVP framework. R is for relationships. You need business relationships built on mutual respect and shared objectives, not just friendships. S is for solve. You want to uncover and solve their problems through discovery questions that uncover the impacts the problems are causing. V is for value. Value is in your product specs or your company history. Value is insights you can teach them, pains you remove, problems you solve, outcomes that impact their bottom line. P is for proof. Relationships and value mean nothing without proof you can deliver. You always want to have 3 stories at the ready. A project where you saved time, a project where you saved money, a project where you prevented a disaster. The RSVP framework gives you the strategy, but here's the reality. Strategy without execution is just theory. So let me show you exactly what I do every single day to generate results. To become a top earner, you want to focus your day around revenue generating activities, RGAs. As a BD, you only have 2 core functions in your role. 1 is creating opportunities, 2 is closing opportunities. Anything outside of that will not help you earn money. Top performers focus on RGAs a minimum of 4 to 5 hours per day. So for 4 to 5 hours a day, my focusing on doing activities that will help me create pipeline or advance pipeline. For creating pipeline, I'm focusing on number 1, account and executive research, 2, outreach, which is email and phone, prepping discovery questions for my initial meeting, and then 4, following up on meetings. For closing opportunities, I'm focusing on number 1, qualifying the opportunity using a set of 5 questions I have, 2, proposals, and lastly, gaining small commitments of time and learning the decision-making process. All these tactics tie back to 1 core system I use to approach every prospect. It's simple, it's repeatable, and it's what allowed me to scale past $200,000 in income. It's the 4-step value engineering system. With this system, you want to articulate the value of your outcome, communicate that value effectively to your prospects, clarify the prospect's pain clearly, and then uncover the 4 levels of impact. I know I've thrown a lot at you, so let me tie all of this together and show you what these frameworks actually produced in real numbers. I've created a 400% increase in revenue, sold multiple large projects that generated commission checks over $20,000, building a $200,000 plus a year sales career in the notoriously low-pay AEC industry. That money isn't just for nicer dinners and a bigger apartment. It's been my ammo to help me build the life I want. After 6 years in this industry, the income I've generated has allowed me to own 2 apartments in Manhattan, invest in a 5-unit Airbnb, explode my net worth, and travel around the world while still building my career. More importantly, it's given me options that a traditional engineering path never would have. This system works because it's heavily rooted in human psychology, behavioral economics, and decision science. I've studied cognitive biases, persuasion psychology, and how people really make choices when money and reputation are on the line. So that's exactly how I earned over $200,000 in income in AEC sales from 0. Now you can take everything here and apply it yourself, but if you want to shortcut the process and avoid the bottlenecks I hit along the way, click the first link in the description to book a strategy session. We'll look at your situation, create a game plan, and see if the value engineering system makes sense for you. Worst case, you walk away with a clear roadmap of how to earn more money, so it's worth your time either way.